Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, we are standing on the edge of eternity. The sky is groaning. The nations are trembling. The heavens are signaling. And whether you're ready or not, I'm here to tell you, the last rapture sign just appeared. This is not a time for fear. It's a time for clarity, a time for conviction, a time for courageous obedience. The world is not spinning out of control. It's spinning exactly according to plan. And if your eyes are open, you can see it. Prophecy is not a puzzle anymore. It's a mirror. And it's reflecting back to us the truth we've been running from. The King is coming. When the final sign appears, it's more than just a signal in the sky. It's a spiritual earthquake meant to shake the foundations of your soul. This isn't the moment for speculation or debate. This is a divine wake-up call, tailor-made for your spirit. For far too long, people have treated the signs of the times like scenery on a long road trip. Interesting, but not urgent. They glance at them and go back to their distractions, their desires, their comforts. But when that last sign shows up, it doesn't just ask for your attention, it demands your response. This is not a gentle nudge. It's a roaring shout from heaven saying, "The time is now." You see, God has always used signs not to entertain us, but to align. Think about it. Throughout history, signs were used to warn, to prepare, to invite, to correct. When Noah built the ark, it wasn't just wood and nails. It was a sign of mercy and judgment. When Moses lifted the serpent in the wilderness, it wasn't just a bronze figure. It was a sign of healing and hope. When the star led the wise men, it wasn't just a pretty light. It was a declaration that the King had come. And now, in this generation, when the last sign appears, it's not just for curiosity. It's for course correction. Heaven doesn't waste its breath. When it speaks, you better listen. Many people are waiting for more confirmations, more comfort, more time. But signs don't wait for your convenience. They are tied to divine timing, not human preference. The fact that the last sign has appeared means God has spoken. It means the script has moved into its final act. And if you've been asleep, now's the time to wake up. This is not about fear-mongering. This is about faith building. Because those who are watching, truly watching with spiritual eyes, know that this isn't just another season, it's a shift. It's the moment where everything begins to converge, where prophecy meets reality, and where choices can no longer be postponed. The danger in ignoring this spiritual wake-up call isn't just missing a date on a calendar, it's missing your divine assignment. The final sign reveals that we're no longer in preparation mode, we're in position mode. That means you've got to be in place, in purpose, and in power. You can't afford to be living distracted, addicted to comfort, lulled to sleep by the noise of the world. Every single delay in your obedience is disobedience. Every moment you spend entertaining doubt is a moment you lose in destiny. The enemy isn't afraid of your belief in signs. He's afraid of what happens when you respond to them with action, with boldness, with unshakable conviction. You don't need another sermon to convince you. You don't need another YouTube video to explain it. The sign has already appeared, and your spirit knows it. There's a trembling in your chest, a whisper in your soul that says, "Get ready." That's not emotion. That's confirmation. That's not fear. That's divine urgency. This is the moment where excuses expire. This is the hour where compromise collapses. This is the season where only the serious will stand. If your heart is lukewarm, it's time to set it on fire. If your mind is divided, it's time to focus. If your life is off course, it's time to realign. The final sign is not a suggestion, it's a sacred signal that the clock of heaven is down to its final. For too long, we've treated faith like a hobby and the kingdom like a side hustle. We've been casual where we should have been committed, We've been passive where we should have been pressing. But the final sign doesn't leave room for casual Christians. It calls for soldiers, for servants, for sons and daughters who know that heaven is not a myth, it's a mission. Your life isn't random, it's strategic. And the final sign is your signal that the heavens are watching, the earth is groaning, and the Spirit is calling. Some people will ignore this moment and miss their miracle. Others will recognize it and rise to their mandate. Which one will you be? The sign has appeared not to make you afraid, but to make you awake. Because awakened people move differently. They speak with authority. They walk with clarity. They serve with joy. They resist compromise, and they release heaven on earth. When the final sign appears, you must understand that you are no longer a spectator in the story. You are a soldier on the front line. This is the moment where the shaking reveals what's unshakable, where the storm exposes the shelter, where faith must stop being a concept and start being a command. This is where you don't just wear the title of believer, you live the truth of one. Because when the sign appears, it separates those who are watching from those who are one. It separates the voices of truth from the echoes of culture. It draws a line in the spirit between those who are playing church and those who are walking in power. When the line between light and darkness becomes clearer than ever, when truth stands toe-to-toe with deception, neutrality becomes a spiritual illusion. There was a time when people could sit in the gray areas, pretending not to choose, avoiding commitment, and calling it waiting for clarity. But in the presence of the final sign, there is no middle ground left. The illusion of neutrality vanishes. You are either for truth or against it, either aligned with the light or swallowed by the shadows. This is not about labeling people or judging motives. It's about recognizing the urgency of the times and the reality that indecision is a decision. The world wants you to believe you can straddle both sides, blend into both kingdoms, and live with divided loyalties. But the final sign demands a line to be drawn. When you try to please both the world and God, you end up pleasing neither. You weaken your voice, dilute your calling, and delay your destiny. This generation is suffering from a disease of indecision. People want the blessings of obedience without the price of commitment. They want the peace of purpose without the discomfort of surrender. But the shaking of the earth, the fulfillment of prophecy, the collapse of systems, and the rising intensity of spiritual battles are not calling for passive observers. They are calling for active warriors. There is no safety in silence when truth is under fire. There is no righteousness in sitting down when you're called to stand. There is no holiness in hiding when God has called you to be a light. In moments of divine clarity, neutrality becomes spiritual rebellion. That might sound harsh, but truth doesn't come to massage feelings. It comes to confront false comfort. You can't serve two masters. You can't worship on Sunday and bow to fear on Monday. You can't post scriptures and practice compromise. The world is watching for those who will truly live what they claim to believe. Heaven is scanning the earth for those who won't flinch, won't fold, and won't fake their faith to fit in. The final sign has drawn the line between the crowd and the called, between the curious and the committed, between the convenient and the consecrated. This is the time to decide where your allegiance truly lies. No more standing in the shadows of opinion, hiding behind other people's convictions. You've got to choose. Choose integrity over influence. Choose purpose over popularity. Choose holiness over hype. Choose faithfulness over fame. And understand this, your decision will cost you. It will cost you approval, comfort, relationships, maybe even opportunities. But what you gain in exchange is far greater. Eternal reward, divine alignment, unshakable peace, and the authority to move mountains. The final sign reveals the true motives of the heart. It strips away pretense and posturing. It exposes whether you are following Christ or simply following the crowd. Because following Christ in this season is not trendy. It's transformational. It means walking away from what's familiar. It means resisting the pull of culture. It means standing on truth even when it's unpopular, even when it costs you everything. That's what being chosen looks like. It's not about having a platform, it's about having a backbone. It's not about being seen, it's about being set apart. And here's what you must understand. When you take a stand, everything around you gets tested. Your friendships get tested. Your desires get tested. Your endurance gets tested. The fire you go through isn't there to destroy you, it's there to define you. Because your stance will provoke opposition, not applause. Your conviction will attract criticism before it brings confirmation. But that's how you know it's real. That's how you know you've crossed over from convenience to covenant. That's how you know you're not trying to fit into the world, you're being shaped by eternity. The final sign marks a transition, a shift in the spirit realm, a declaration from heaven that says it's time to rise, it's time to speak, it's time to stand. The enemy doesn't fear those who waver. He fears those who are anchored in truth, anchored in purpose, anchored in identity. When you're anchored, you stop being tossed by opinions, headlines, temptations, and trends. You stop being reactive and start being prophetic. You stop running from battles and start walking into them with authority. This is the call of this moment. To reject the lie that neutrality keeps you safe. It doesn't. It simply keeps you powerless. A soldier who refuses to choose a side is a soldier who forfeits the fight. And in this fight, the cost of silence is too high. Your voice is needed. Your stand is necessary. Your presence in this generation is not a mistake. It's a mandate. You were born for this time, called for this conflict, and equipped for this battle. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be faithful. You don't need the approval of the crowd. You need the backing of heaven. And when you draw the line, when you decide once and for all whose side you're on, everything shifts. Clarity comes. Power flows. Purpose awakens. And your life becomes a weapon in the hands of the Almighty. Not because you were the loudest, not because you were the most popular, but because you were loyal to the truth when it mattered most. Time has always been seen as something we manage, control, and stretch. We plan our weeks, schedule our months, and dream about our future as though we own the clock. But time is not your property. It's your test. You don't hold it in your hands. It holds you in its purpose. And when the last rapture sign appears, it serves as a thunderous reminder that time is not just ticking, it's testing. Every second is asking you a question. What are you doing with what you've been given? You weren't given time to waste. You weren't given time to wander in confusion or to dance with distractions. You were given time to move with purpose, to walk in calling, to build the kingdom, and to make your life count. But here's the truth most people ignore. Delay is not neutral. Delay is disobedience dressed in polite clothing. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you're gambling with eternity. Every time you push your purpose to the side for comfort, for approval, for fear, you're failing the test of time. This life isn't just about avoiding sin. It's about fulfilling assignment. And the clock isn't counting up. It's counting down. When the last sign appears, you're not in the waiting room anymore. You're in the war room. You're not in preparation. You're in position. Every excuse you made before now becomes exposed under the light of divine urgency. You start to see how much time you spent worrying about opinions that didn't matter, chasing validation that never satisfied, and chasing success that never fulfilled. The final sign strips away the illusion of someday. It confronts you with the urgency of now. You see, most people think they're waiting on God, but in reality, God is waiting on them. waiting for them to get serious, waiting for them to wake up, waiting for them to stop rehearsing the pain and start releasing the purpose. There is a holy urgency in the air. You can feel it pressing against your chest, calling you deeper, pulling you higher, whispering in your soul, move, not tomorrow, not next month, now, because the doors that are open now won't be open forever. The grace that is flowing now is an invitation with an expiration. The opportunity to obey is a privilege, not a guarantee. And if you ignore this moment, if you treat this sign like another post on a timeline, you'll miss the shift, because the shift is not just happening around you, it's happening for you. And God is waiting to see if you'll steward the moment or sleep through it. The enemy's greatest weapon isn't destruction, it's distraction. If he can't destroy your life, he'll delay your purpose. He'll get you so caught up in temporary things that you miss the eternal assignment. And while you're busy being distracted, time keeps ticking. Souls are still waiting, assignments are still hanging in limbo, and heaven is still watching. Some people think urgency is pressure, but urgency is actually mercy. It's God loving you too much to let you settle. It's God shaking you out of comfort so you can walk into calling. It's God turning up the volume on heaven's alarm clock, not to scare you, but to prepare you. Because when the time is up, your preparation must turn into execution. There's no more room for indecision, for halfway obedience, for halfway faith. God is not looking for perfect people. He's looking for present people. People who will stop waiting for a sign and be the sign. People who will stop stalling and start stepping. And yes, stepping forward will cost you. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you routine. It will cost you certainty. But the cost of delay is far more dangerous than the cost of obedience. Obedience positions you for power. Delay positions you for disappointment. And the longer you delay, the more you drift. Not all drift looks like rebellion. Some of it looks like overthinking, procrastination, and perfectionism. But it's all rooted in the same thing: disconnection. Disconnection from urgency. Disconnection from eternity. Disconnection from the truth that you were created for such a time as this. There is nothing more tragic than a person who had the time but never used it, who had the calling but never answered it, who had the signal but never responded. And for every person reading these words, there is still time, but not much. The clock is not your enemy, it's your mirror. It reflects your priorities, your decisions, your focus. It shows you what matters to you, not by what you say, but by what you do. Your calendar reveals your commitment. Your habits reveal your hunger. Your daily choices reveal your destiny. So you've got to stop playing like you have forever. Stop thinking that one day you'll get serious. Stop assuming that you'll answer the call when it feels more convenient. The final sign didn't appear to spark interest. It appeared to demand action. This is not just another moment. This is the moment. This is the day that determines decades. This is the decision that shapes destiny. And while you hesitate, while you question, while you wait for everything to make sense, time is passing, heaven is watching, and the opportunity is slipping. This moment is sacred. This moment is rare. This moment is weighty with purpose. It's a test not just of faith, but of urgency. Will you rise or will you retreat? Will you act or will you delay? Will you honor the time you've been given or waste it on what doesn't matter? Because the final sign is not just about what's coming, it's about what you're becoming. Now is the time to love without fear, to serve without hesitation, and to live like every breath carries eternal weight. The moment the final sign appears is not a cue to panic, it's a call to power. This is the hour where your life must rise above routine and reflect something divine, something unshakable, something holy. You weren't born to merely survive. You were born to shine. You weren't called just to make it through the day. You were called to shift atmospheres, break generational cycles, and carry the light into dark places. The world doesn't need more noise, it needs clarity. It doesn't need more performance, it needs power. And that power begins with a life fully surrendered, fully alive, and fully ready. When you realize the magnitude of the hour, you start living like every decision matters, because it does. You start waking up not wondering what the world thinks, but what heaven is saying. You stop existing for likes and you start living for legacy. You stop performing for applause and you start pressing toward purpose. There is a spiritual acceleration happening, and only those who are tuned in will catch it. You cannot afford to stay numb. You cannot afford to live passive. The signs are not just in the news, they're in the spirit. And they are confirming what has already been spoken deep within your soul. You were made for this moment. Living like it's your last day doesn't mean living recklessly. It means living righteously. It means walking into every room with divine confidence. It means praying like fire is in your bones. It means forgiving without delay, giving without restraint, and serving without needing a spotlight. It means loving people who can't love you back, blessing those who curse you, and building even when you're broken. The call is higher now. The standard is not comfort, it's consecration. There's no room for bitterness when time is short. There's no space for jealousy when souls are at stake. You don't have time to fight small battles when eternity is in motion. The way you live now speaks louder than anything you say. People are not reading your posts, they're reading your life. And when the last sign appears, you must become the evidence that God is real, that love is powerful, and that hope is not dead. You don't need a title to be impactful. You don't need a platform to make a difference. All you need is a heart on fire and a life that reflects heaven. Your obedience is louder than your voice. Your integrity is more powerful than your image. Your consistency is more valuable than your charisma. Too many people are waiting for perfect conditions to start living with purpose. But the sign didn't appear to show you comfort, it appeared to show you clarity. And clarity always demands action. Now's not the time to hold back. Now's the time to pour out. Pour out your gifts. Pour out your time. Pour out your love. Because what you give away now echoes into eternity. There are people waiting on the other side of your obedience. There are lives tied to your yes. There are breakthroughs connected to your sacrifice. Don't let fear keep you paralyzed. Don't let disappointment keep you disqualified. You may not have gotten it right in the past, but this moment is proof that mercy still runs through your veins. You are still breathing because you are still becoming. You are still here because there is still work for you to do. Heaven is not interested in your excuses. It's invested in your execution. You don't need to understand everything to take a step. You don't need to have all the answers to walk in obedience. Faith is not about having clarity in your mind. It's about having conviction in your soul. Let your life become a warning to the passive and a witness to the watching. Let your faith be a flame that sets others on fire. Let your love be louder than the hate around you. The days of silent living are over. You weren't saved to sit. You were saved to serve. You weren't healed to hide. You were healed to help. The world is desperate for something authentic, something eternal, something unstoppable. And that something is already inside of you. It's time to release it. You don't get another lifetime to do what you were called to do in this one. You don't get to hit reset when the trumpet sounds. The final sign means this is the moment that matters most. Stop rehearsing what you lost and start releasing what you've got. Stop shrinking to fit people's expectations and start rising to meet God's calling. Your time, your voice, your story, they're not yours to hoard. They are tools, and you've been entrusted with them for such a time as this. Heaven is not impressed by potential. Heaven moves when you move. So move with urgency, move with power, move with reckless love, move with a heart that refuses to quit. Your legacy will not be built on what you plan to do someday. It will be built on what you actually did when the sign appeared and the Spirit whispered. This is the kind of hour that requires fearless obedience and wild faith. It demands that you walk like you know your time is short and your assignment is holy. This is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of your chapter that shakes nations and silences doubt. Live it well.